So, Clown in a Cornfield is a much more interesting movie than I anticipated, or at least a lot more interesting than I would have expected for a movie that is called Clown in a Cornfield. I was actually surprised to learn that this is based on a book from Adam Cesare. I think that's how you say his name. It's actually part of a whole series of novels. And it actually kind of makes sense in retrospect, having, just learned about this after watching the film and kind of reading into the production of it. Because there's a lot of ideas that are kind of lurking under the surface that I feel like would really thrive in a novel format. But I think the film does a pretty good job at translating some of those ideas to the screen. Because for the first half of the film, you're kind of sitting there wondering, like, okay, what exactly is this movie's deal? What is it going for? Is it just going to do the standard slasher formula, or is there going to be more to it? And, even from the opening scene, if you're coming in for cornfield shenanigans involving clowns, you will get that in the opening scene. You get your money's worth. And then it basically just follows that standard slasher formula after that. And at some point, like halfway through, there's this really compelling switch up that happens. And it reminded me of a movie that I can't name drop because that would kind of be a spoiler, but I will just say that it's a cop movie, or at least it's a sort of love letter / satire of cop movies. And if you've seen this movie, then you should know exactly what film I'm referencing. So yeah, if you know, you know. But it was really interesting seeing the movie kind of do this switch up, because it also kind of reflects the ideas that the movie is exploring, because this is a movie that is very much about differences in generations, different priorities in generations, because you have these sort of elder folks of this town who are very focused on tradition, on keeping the status quo, while a lot of the younger people are more focused on sort of their interests and, of course, their own survival ultimately, because they are the ones who are being targeted. And it's an interesting reflection on the way that you have one generation who is sort of stuck with these circumstances in which they aren't really allowed to thrive on their own. They're not set up for success by the previous generation. And there's a lot of sort of anger there. And at the same time, you have a lot of the older generations who are very resentful of the younger ones, who sort of see them as lazy and not doing the things that they want to do, but they don't understand that there's just a different perspective there. And I found that really compelling. The movie is also quite funny as well, but it's not like over the top with its humor. It still allows the stakes to be felt. And so I was quite delighted to see that the director of the film was Eli Craig, who is the guy behind Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which is a movie that I really love. So that was great to see. And that's another film that sort of takes classic horror tropes and spins it on its head. So that kind of gives you a sense of like the vibe that this movie is going for. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, then I would definitely recommend checking out Clown in a Cornfield. So those are my thoughts on the film. If you've seen it, feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments.